Hello, listeners. Hi, my name is Madhavi, and I'm so happy to have you on Uptop. You have come to the right place if you want to learn about IT and do really cool things with your hands. We are not just another IT company when I say Uptop. Think of us as your learning partner dedicated to helping you reach your full potential. We have top notch hands on courses to help you build your business, whether you are new to technology or want to move up in your current job. Let's look around this as our first step towards learning.
Today we'll see one more business case like compensation administrator when they're ready to initiate the merit process and configure the merit pool. And once they initiate that, when the process will advance to the compensation administrator to complete the kind of distribution pool step and then launch the process out to the managers. Managers are nothing but who are planners. You'll be initiating the compensation process now, where you'll be specifying all the effective dates, and as a compensation administrator, you will be defining the pools, merit pool, and all you'll be defining, and we'll be launching this to managers. This is how we know generally every annual review process, you'll be defining some kind of merit pool and then you'll be launching this to managers and manager will be giving a kind of revised compensation to their employees in the organization. And that's how we know that typically the compensation process, merit process, will be initiated to employees as part of annual review process. To initiate the merit process, there is a direct task called Initiate Merit Process. Now getting into Now we have a couple of options. Probably they would have. Let's see what role options we have here in shared compensation review process. They have renamed, I believe. We have template effect to date, employee visibility rate, grid configuration. Let's see if we can create. I think they have renamed this. We have the same options, grid configurations and all. Earlier it was initiate merit process. Now I think they have renamed merit process into compensation review process. First, we'll create compensation review process template and have it attached to the merit process or review process that we'll be creating. Before that, I think we need to select the review process. They are all previously created, but we'll create this template now that you'll get to know what configurations that we'll be having here. review template is nothing but which you'll be selecting. Whenever you're creating a review process, you'll be selecting the template, who all comes under this kind of template, like you'll be specifying some dates. Whenever an employee joins before this date, employee is eligible for the review process, and after this date should not be eligible kind of rules will be there. Those you'll be defining in compensation review process template, and this template you'll be calling in initiate a compensation review process, and you'll be attaching there. And then from there you'll be initiating that process to managers, and they'll be able to take that from there. Every workday a task which are initiating, there should be a kind of template. Even for performance review process, whenever an annual review process has been initiated, that specific period will be selected. Let's say if per year we'll be having a performance annual review process that goes in the month of October. Before that, we'll be selecting that particular template for which particular period you're performing this review process. You'll be selecting that template, and then you'll initiate that performance review process. Similarly, compensation also. Mostly these will be created by comp team only, not Workday team. Comp team will be creating the process, and all or some organizations will be relying on Workday team to perform this kind of configuration support. Thanks and all. I'm taking the generic period timings. Generally, from June, a review process period starts, and most of the US-based organizations, they'll be performing all the review process in the month of October and November. I'm taking the process end date as the 31st of October, where in the November month they'll be getting all the revised compensation part and all once the process period end date. And when employee should be able to see the compensation change after November salary, let's say from December, they should be able to see the revised compensation from first week of December. We'll take the default one, but there are few things that people have created. I'm going with the default one that Workday provides and grid configuration. Before that, we'll try to create one grid configuration. I'm creating a grid for compensation review process. and just takes the template. You see here adjustment for business object. You're seeing this is used for all the compensation review process. If you're making any kind of compensation review process, all the changes, all the additions, all the removals that you're making will be sitting in the object called adjustment for business object. If you're making any kind of compensation review process, and probably if you wanted to report that generally, I said I'll be creating statements for compensation review process in my current organization. All those statements, all those review process will be sitting in adjustment for business object. Whatever the configuration that we are doing, whatever initiation that we'll be doing will be sitting in adjustment for business object. Business object is nothing but which holds the data. Workday model is nothing. But if you talk something about relational database, language kind of things, like traditional software applications outside of Workday, like PeopleSoft as AP and all, will be creating all the process in a table. We'll be defining some kind of items and we'll be having those items in a table. Table is nothing but which holds the data in the form of fields. Similarly, in Workday, we have a concept called data model called business object, which will be holding the data in the form of business object. The primary business object, code adjustment for business object, which will be holding all the information related to compensation. All the changes revised to compensations and review process things and anything stocks that are getting changed to employees or base getting changed employees as part of review process will be coming in adjustment for business object. Adjustment for business object is an important one. Probably whenever you wanted to report anything related to compensation change, the first thing that you need to consider is adjustment for business object. By default, we have not selected any business object here. Automatically, Workday has picked up the object called adjustment for business object. It means that adjustment for is a kind of ideal object that will be storing all the changes happening to the compensation process in the organization. Just this is an important thing. Probably, if you wanted to report something on the compensation process, this is what you will be using. Adjustment for remember this thing. I've taken compensation review process as a kind of field which will be storing all the values that we will be changing or will be in shading. Related to compensation changes, only one object is there. But there are other objects like compensation history, compensation basis kind of. There are a lot of business object related to compensation, but anything that goes with the compensation changes review process as part of review process. The only object which can be a kind of dedicated one which will be providing all the information related to compensation process is this one adjustment for. If you wanted to report something on all the compensation review process that has performed last year with all the changes and all you have to use this process, this adjustment for business object. There is. We can go with the other objects also, but since you're making changes with the adjustment for a business object, that will provide you relevant information, accurate information. Through calculated fields, we can tweak the data and we can get from other business object also, but taking directly a business object called adjustment for business object will provide you accurate information related to compensation process. Calculated fields is different thing. You probably know if you'll create a calculated field based on the delivered field that you wanted to have. If you wanted to tweak something on delivered field, you'll be creating calculated field. I'll talk more on this during end of the session. It got refreshed on all the things has gone. Let's see if I can take any of the one that is already there. Process. Let's see what is configured in this one. It will be given as combination review process and for subtitling. Whenever you're initiating the compensation process, these are the titration that will be populated here. That will be populated whenever you're initiating. There are two things that you need to remember. One is current and the other one is proposed. When you see current, think whatever employee is getting now, that will be under current field. Whatever you see as proposed nothing but whatever employee will be getting in future, which we are proposing. There will be two things you know mostly now. You will be getting this kind of understanding when you're dealing with reports. Your compensation statement may ask you what is current base pay, what is proposed base pay, and kind of things. If your report is asking, we'll be taking the proposed one as the future one, and current one as a whatever. We'll be having the current compensation, we'll be getting that. I'll be selecting this base pay, proposed amount, and list referenced currency. You'll have to attach your annual compensation review process template. I said for every performance review also, we'll be creating one template. Let's say for 2021 November, you are going for performance review process where annual compensation review will be part of that review process. Whenever you create annual performance review template, that template should be attached with the compensation review template. That both will get synced. The performance based on the rating. If you wanted to give some kind of additional compensation, you need to attach that compensation review process for that particular period that you have created. I'll just take you on random compensation appraisal review process template. I've created one template for compensation review process which can be used in our initiating review process. Generally, when you wanted to initiate any compensation process, there has to be a template which gives you a kind of information, the effective date and the visibility date, and whatever another great configuration that we've made. That is configured with all the compensation review process. And the performance rating review template has to be part of the review process template. And we'll be attaching that review process template to our initiating merit process. Whenever we are initiating the compensation process to managers or employees, we'll be attaching that process template to this. And that will be taking care of all the execution of that compensation review. Whatever based on the effective date that we have defined, that will be executed accordingly. Whenever you're starting the period start date and whenever you want it to end, you'll be setting it now. You'll be seeing the notification part of probably whenever compensation or annual review performance process has been started. Although for some particular point of time, employees will be getting, please complete, submit your review process. This is the due date and managers, will be getting a kind of notification that this is a due date. Please submit your run this thing, kind of complete your review process. It's that we're doing in the template. And after that date, if manager is not able to complete within the date, then that will be not picking up in the template what we have created because we have given the date range rate. Period end date is October 31st and the period start date is June 1st. Between this period, whatever manager will be taking care of the review process for 31st of October. Your template, whatever we have created, will be picking up the data. Or else if manager is submitting the review process after 31st, your template, whatever we have created, will not be picking up. There will be a lot of those things also will be happening. Managers, they'll be saying we are not aware of this time. And we need to have our employees to be part of this review process and all. When such kind of request of Workday, team will be taking care of adjusting the dates and they'll making that review process to be part of the template what we have created. That will be part of support activities we'll be seeing. Generally, for every year, for every process period, we'll be creating one review process template and the review process initiation we'll be doing. Please do like, share, and subscribe to our channel. For more information, contact us sales@therightuptalk.com.